we welcome Paul Truax to the show.
All right, good to be here. Good to be here. I'm very excited. A little nervous, but very excited. I've never done anything like this before. So.
Oh, don't be nervous. You're gonna do great. We appreciate you taking such an interest in the program.
Right. Yeah. No. I was when we were talking about before the show, like I was just shifting through a magazine, like one of the Maze magazines, and I saw like this MasterCast thing. So I started listening. And it was just a great idea. So I applaud you for that.
Well, thank you. That is very kind, and we appreciate you listening.
Right.
So here we go.
Yeah.
What is your favorite superpower?
I would say probably telekinesis.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen the movie Chronicle, like back in I think it was like 2013 or something.
Definitely heard of it.
Right. Yeah.
But I have not seen it.
It was all about like telekinesis and it was just a few high school friends like actually like having fun with it.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty neat. But I actually don't know yours. What would yours be?
Oh, no one's ever turned the question around on me before.
Switch it up a little bit.
My favorite superpower. The easy answer is flying. Like
Right.
I would love to be able to fly up and like take cats out of trees like Superman does or whatever. But if I really could, if I'm thinking about it a little bit more, I think I would want to be able to show people the best of what they could be.
Okay.
But then for the strong at heart, I would also want to be able to show them here's the worst of what you could be.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And you can choose one or the other or somewhere in between.
Right.
But these are your choices.
Very cool.
This is what's laid out for you. So not really like the hero of the story, but more of like the guide, maybe just someone who's kind of in the background helping the hero figure out what they're going to become.
Right. Yeah. Like the magic 8-ball a little bit, like just in the background. That's really neat. That's really neat. I actually I was wondering like what would be like a horrible superpower, like thinking like I was kind of better before this whole thing happened.
If you could. So Dane Cook, who now everybody thinks was never funny and sucks, but Dane Cook had a bit one time about how he wanted to be able to shoot spaghetti from his fingertips. And I was like, I don't think that's a very cool superpower to begin with, but especially if you didn't really have a lot of control over it and you would just randomly fire spaghetti out of your fingers.
It would be like, I was better before it. I don't really need it. But,
yes. Although if you could it gets better if you could feed hungry people. But even then, if you couldn't control it, then I don't know if that would, you might be better before, like you were saying.
Right.
Give us 60 seconds on your road to Maze.
Right. Well, it started obviously like in high school, long story short, I wasn't the best student in high school. I was very involved. I was class president and things like that. But from a grade perspective, I was in no way, like a all A student or anything like that. So I started applying to different colleges. Senior year is time to do that.
Right.
So I started applying, and I wasn't getting in. I wasn't getting into a lot of colleges, like for example, like the University of Houston, Baylor. They sent me rejection letters, and in getting those, A&M hadn't made their decision yet, but I started to see A&M as like, okay, now like A&M is like my Harvard school. Like I if these schools are saying no to me, like A&M's definitely, not going to let me in. So, after realizing that, after a few stressful days, I get, I come home and my parents have something in their hands, and it's a very big A&M envelope. And I was thinking like, they don't send big envelopes like that to rejects, So I got this big envelope, and, there it is. I was accepted into A&M, but there was another letter in there. There was a second letter in there.
Huh.
And so I opened up that letter, and it said, essentially, you don't have the grades to get in. And what happened was, in the admissions office, or the people that handle that, you, from a grade perspective, they said no,
right?
Because you don't have the grades. But there's something about like your resume or something that you've done that someone had to stick out their neck for you. Like basically say like, hey, this guy should be a no along with all these other people, but there's something about this person that I think they could, be a good part of a part of this family, a part of the A&M family.
Yeah.
So, they had to review it and everything. And then I got put into a program called the Gateway Program, where there's only 350 people. So you have like 40,000 people apply. I don't know how many, maybe like 20,000 get in, something like that.
Yeah.
And then the bottom 350 of the people that should have received a no,
Right.
get in through this gateway program. Only 350. So it's almost feels like I'm being like dramatic when I say this, but like getting into A&M was literally like someone had to say like, we believe in you. You were a little subpar in high school, but there's something about you and we literally believe in you, and that's why we're going to accept you in. Because there's already like 60,000 people at this university. They don't need another 350, but they still stick their neck out for these people anyway. So, I didn't get into business school right away. I had to go through this gateway program 5 weeks before freshman year. And then all of freshman year, I had to get a 3.5 GPA minimum to get into the business school, and they only accept 100 people anyway. So, I mean, to be honest, I'd never gotten a 3.5 GPA at all, ever. So that became like my main focus. Every single day freshman year was just I need to get into this business school. And I would study here at the business school and look at people walking down the hall and think like, you guys are rock stars. Like, you guys have it made. I wish I was walking into these classrooms like you, but I couldn't.
Right.
You fast forward to the end of freshman year, I finished my last final. It's done. And like a month later, I'm working at my mom and dad's pallet manufacturing plant. And, I'm going to grab them lunch, and I get an email saying like, hey, like, welcome to Maze. You got in.
Fantastic.
So yeah. And, coming in through that way, it makes me like, even now, like walking through these halls and going to class, I'm literally the most grateful person on the planet Earth. Because me getting into this university was literally just an act of faith. They didn't, in the admissions office, they didn't know me.
Yeah.
But they still let me in anyway when they could have said no. So it was really neat.
Did you spend any time thinking about what was it about my application? Like, what was the thing? Did you ever ask anyone?
The head of the gateway program, her name is Sherris King.
Yeah.
I've never asked her because she's not involved in like the admissions process, right? She's awesome.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget when she said, for the first day of the gateway program, she literally said this. I'll never forget it. Because some people think I'm being dramatic about it, but she literally said this. She said, prove to us what we think you can do, what we believe you can do.
Yeah.
And it just really hit me hard. But maybe it was maybe something like being class president, or I started my own company in high school as well. So maybe it was something like that allowed them to let me in. But if it was if there was no reliance on faith or anything like that, if it was strictly grades, I would have gotten rejected easily from this university. But I didn't, and now I'm I have everything to. I can't thank this university enough for what they've given me.
That's beautiful. Right. Tell us about the company you started.
Yeah, so in high school, I don't know if you guys remember, but that was when like Nike Elite socks were like super in. It was like this basketball sock that had like a design on the Achilles, on the back of the leg. And everybody was loving these socks. Everybody. But, and me especially, I would collect them. I'd get, if they would come out with a new color, I'd be the first one to have it.
Yeah.
So everybody knew me kind of like as the sock guy, like around high school, around my high school. So, but the thing was, Nike wouldn't change the design that often. It would be like maybe like once a year they would change it. And it would be like a minor change and sales would spike. And then Adidas started getting on the same design. Like they would follow generally the same design. Then Under Armour started getting on that design. So I thought, okay, like this is not going away. This trend is here to stay. So quite literally one night I had a dream that I was walking the halls. I was going to, a class in my high school, and I saw two people wearing socks that I designed. Yeah. Same general design on the back, but it was different. But I designed those socks. And I woke up. I remember that dream like as clear as day. And I woke up and I thought, I love making things my own. I like having like a vision for something and seeing it come to life.
Sure. So
I thought, I can't stop thinking about that dream that I had, and everybody wants to buy these socks. Like, why not go for it? Yeah. And I'm a high school student. If the company fails, I'm what, 16 maybe. So I asked my parents, I was like, hey, I've been drawing socks. I've been drawing designs of socks in my room, and I really want to make it happen. Like, can I, what do you think? Like, can I, do something like that? And my parents were very supportive of it. So they were like, yeah, like if you find a manufacturer, if you, source materials if you need to and things like that, then go for it. So I did. And, we came out with our first prototype, sold them to Eastwood High School. They had just a little like Eastwood on the front, and then that same design that I dreamt of on the back, and it became the logo for the company. So they sold super quickly, like insanely fast, because everything was custom.
Right.
Because if you wear this Eastwood sock, no one in the world has this design.
Right.
Except for you. Only if you're an Eastwood athlete, then you have that design.
Huh.
And then, at high school, my friend Chance came to me because he went to this high school called El Dorado High School, and he said, "Hey, you know what? A lot of people are seeing these Eastwood socks. I know you're the one that makes them. Can you make some for my high school, and like I'll sell them, and like you get 70%, I'll get 30." And so we started doing that, and then I went from that, like individual sales, to selling to teams, to selling to even companies. Like there's a physical therapy company that actually bought socks from me for like, their own uniforms, like for I think like a PR outreach or something like that.
Yeah.
So it was really, really catching on, and I really enjoyed it. And the whole concept of, this is my product, and I loved making it come to life, and then seeing people open the box and seeing that these socks that like I designed and I sourced and everything, and seeing like a smile on their face was really, really neat.
Yeah.
Was the product great? It wasn't. It wasn't that great, but it was all a learning experience, and I really enjoyed like that part of my life in high school.
That's fantastic, man. Right. It's out of curiosity. We can cut this if you want us to. No. Is the company still operating?
It's not operating. I mean, I had it in high school. I decided to close it down because once I got that letter, like, hey, like we let you into A&M. You're gonna have to hustle hard to get into business school. I thought I can't risk anything. Like, right. I can't risk anything. So I closed it down because, the 3.5 GPA, I'd never gotten anything close to that. So I closed it down to focus solely on school. I wanted to revamp it in college, and I renamed it Anvil Sportswear.
Yeah.
So I wanted to revamp it in high school. I mean, in college, based off all the things that I learned in, my core business classes. And the business model for Anvil was literally a reflection of what I was learning in the business school.
Yeah.
And I would talk to my professors, my accounting professor, my marketing professor, and get ideas from them how to form this company. So the company never took off because I decided to go through PPA and really focus on that and going through the big four, like accounting firms and things like that.
Yeah.
But for a while there, like the formulation of that company, Anvil Sportswear, was literally a reflection of what a student was learning in real time in the business school. So it was a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I took that business model and like all like the paperwork about it and all the idea formulation. I actually donated it to Startup Aggieland. So it was kind of informal how we did that.
Yeah.
But they have the business model with them now. And so like if someone wants to pick it up, they can. So
that's great. That's great. Yeah, we have a few friends over at Startup Aggieland.
Right.
They have a special spot in our hearts.
Definitely.
You talked briefly about this before, but where did you grow up?
Yeah, I grew up in El Paso, Texas. So way, out west. It's a little different over here. When you make the drive, you kind of see things going from like very green, like over here, to little, just the Chihuahuan desert.
Yeah,
a lot of dirt out there.
But. Yeah, I've made the drive from here to LA a few times. So you drive through El Paso and Las Cruces and all of that. But I think El Paso is a little bit underrated as a city.
It is underrated. Yeah, it is. I mean, there's a lot of things to do, a lot of things to see, and I'm very happy because El Paso is really growing in like an attractive way.
Mm-hmm.
We got the San Jacinto Plaza out there. We got what's that? We got a Topgolf, which is pretty neat. So we're making moves.
Yeah,
it's coming up.
That's great. How many in your family?
There are 5 total. I'm the middle child. I have an older brother, and then who lives in Fort Worth, and then I have a younger brother who's a freshman at OU right now.
Okay.
And 2 parents, best parents I could ever ask for. They own that company together. So I was really able to learn a lot from them, both from like a business perspective and just being like a great person. It's all credit to them. So. And
you said it was pallet manufacturing?
Pallet manufacturing, yeah. So like for people that don't know, I mean, like the wooden, like those wooden pallets, like those watermelon boxes are stacked up on like at Sam's. Like,
you use a forklift to lift them up and so forth.
Yeah, people wouldn't think that you can make a living off that stuff or like anything. Like there's like any small thing in like any room or whatever, someone's making a living like off of making those things. Yeah, so it's pretty neat to grow up in making those.
Have you talked with your parents at all about like, I mean, since you started your own company,
Mhm.
I would assume you talked with them some about operations. Like, what is it that what's their value proposition? Like, what are they doing differently than everybody else? Or do they just have like good relationships for distribution in the area?
Mhm.
Or like, what's their value proposition?
Yeah, well, I think that generally, the thought that I've put into like the pallet industry and then how Border Pallets is able to succeed the way it has
Yeah.
is that I feel like my parents really, really focused on like the service side of things, because
Oh,
the pallet industry is very functional.
yeah.
What I mean by that is like, if you need pallets, there they are. Give me the money. That's it. It's over.
Impersonal.
Right. It's very impersonal. But what I saw my parents do is they really have like really strong relationships with their clients.
Okay.
And like they know them on a personal level. And my dad would joke around with them on the phone, like, and it's just very like things like that it's very, very valuable. So they kind of took a functional industry and made it a little bit more personal. And
Huh.
it was a very different approach, I feel like, to something as a palette is kind of like an afterthought. You don't really think about it too much. But I think that approach
Mhm.
is what really allowed them to succeed very well. And they invest heavily in like long-term assets for from a business side, and that's what really allowed them to like drive down their costs. They're able to compete with companies that like kind of not cut corners, but like don't really offer like a big service. So I'm very happy, like their strategy in doing that has been very, very successful. I'm very happy about that.
That's great.
Right.
What was your first job?
Working in like the warehouse at my parents' pallet manufacturing plant, and it's to this day, and probably for the rest of my life, would be one of the, if not the best job I've ever had.
Huh.
Because the reason why I say that is because in the warehouse you're pushing wood into a machine. That's it.
Yeah.
8 hours a day. Wake up 5:30 in the morning to go drive out into the Chihuahuan desert and go push wood into a machine. But the thing was, and what I realized was, there's two things that really like make me tick. One of them is making things my own, which is like the whole anvil thing, and like when I became a supplemental instructor here, all that is like creativity, making things your own. But then another thing is the total opposite, because at Border Pallets, you're not making anything your own. Like you're just making planks. But the people in the warehouse were probably the most humble, the happiest people I've ever seen in my entire life.
Mhm.
So it was really great, like getting to know them, and like getting to witness how selfless they were. They were always willing to help and everything. So when I left Border Pallets, I stayed there. The longest time I ever spent there was probably like 11 or 12 weeks. Every day just making pallets. When I left to come back to school, I literally like broke down in tears, like saying bye to these men, because this is a boring job, but it was the most symbolically valuable job I've ever had.
Yeah.
And it was just really neat to see these people that have done the same thing for 20 years have an excuse to like not really enjoy life that much, but they're still like enjoying life like literally to the fullest, and they're like the happiest people ever. There's CEOs of Fortune 500 companies that wish that they were happier than these people, or as happy. So
it kind of reminds me a little bit of the culture in a place like Jamaica.
Right.
We were headed out to a distillery tour during our honeymoon, and the woman who was leading the tour, she said, "We're poor here.
Mm-hmm.
Like people go to work every day doing the same thing,
Right.
but we always have a good time. We want you to enjoy. We want you to take part in how much we enjoy life.
Right.
And we're focused much more on that than we are on money.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, everybody here, most of us are dirt poor. Her
Right.
words, not mine.
Right.
We're happy
Right. Yeah.
because that's what we care about."
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's a good way to live.
Exactly. And it's good to like know that, because in the business school, you have all the professors say like, we want you to become like a boss someday. We want you to really do well professionally, which leads to doing well financially. But if you don't see like that ground level, like how people could be happy, like doing like a ground level thing, I would hate to miss out on that perspective. So that's why,
sure.
that's why working in that factory was such an amazing job. And whenever I go back to El Paso, you'll find me in the factory. Like I go right back. And that's because I don't want to skip out on like that realization of like what happiness really means. It's not in any way a financial thing.
A man of the people. I like it. Let's go back to Axe Custom Socks, what is now Anvil Sportswear. You made cold calls, you attended high school board meetings to get your product in front of customers, you coordinated with suppliers across the country. These are hard things for mature entrepreneurs to do. What do you feel drove you to take these risks? You talked about the vision, the dream that you had earlier and so forth, but a lot of people would stop short of taking the big leaps that you did.
Right.
Why do you think you were willing to do that where someone else wouldn't be?
I think it really came down to the idea of, there's a thought in your head, you believe in it, you talk to other people about it, and they're like, dude, this could really work. And then just bringing that to life has always been like a huge interest to me. Like in anything, for example, even like way back when I was a little kid, I would draw a lot, and I would love to show my just simple drawings. But I would love to show them to like my brothers, my parents, and they'd be like, that's huge. Like, and just seeing a smile on their face was very big for me. And so that's why I think like when I think about something that interests me, for example, making something that will make another person like really see the value in it, I do not stop thinking about whatever that thing is.
Yeah.
And it becomes something that I have to act on. Like I have to act on it. So that's why I really want to take the leap. And it really helps, being just a high school kid. It's hard to get people to, hear you out as a business person. You attend these meetings.
That's true.
And you are by far the youngest person. You're younger than, these people's, youngest child. But you're still here in these meetings pitching this product and talking about prices and everything. It's kind of intimidating, but I was willing to take that risk and, possibly get looked down on because I thought, this is the value that I believe the product has, seeing people actually buy in on it and open the product and really love the design of the product. Again, it wasn't the best product, but people really love that, hey, this is mine. And you gave that to me. Like you gave me this product that no one else has, and I just really, that's what really allowed me to like take that leap.
It's what you said earlier. No one else in the world has this.
Yeah. And I was reading a book the other day that really tapped into like what the value behind Anvil was and Axe Custom Sports Socks was. And what that book was, it was called Relationships 101. And it talked about how everybody has like an invisible sign that they're carrying on their neck that is huge on their chest. And it says, make me feel important. It's an invisible sign, but every single person in the world is wearing that sign.
Yeah.
And if you think about people that way and you give them something that could make them feel important, like, dude, no, this is my product. No one else has it. It's huge symbolic value. And I couldn't pass that up.
Yeah, no, that is great advice. The book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, which the title, I don't love the title of that book because it sounds like you're like manipulating people,
right, yeah.
But it's an amazing book. And once you actually dig into it, you realize, oh no, this is the way that you would want people to approach you. Yeah. And it's all about like making the other person feel important and making them feel like they mean something, learning their name, right? Like getting on the same page with the other person, helping them understand that you prioritize their priorities as well. I applaud that approach.
Right.
That's great.
Oh yeah. And there's also one book that I highly recommend. It's called The 10 Golden Rules of Customer Service. You could finish it in like 30 minutes.
Okay.
And it talks about this one story where there's a jeweler, and the jeweler was in charge of making this guy's wedding ring. And the wedding was on Monday, and they were flying out to I think the Bahamas, like on some other day. And like the jeweler contacted the client and said, "Hey, I have good news and I got bad news. The bad news is your ring's not going to be ready when you want it to be ready.
Okay,
it's not going to be ready. But the good news is I just booked a flight to the Bahamas where you're going to be. I booked a flight there. I'm going to fly over there personally when the ring is done. When you guys are going to be on that trip, and I will give you the ring myself in the Bahamas."
Huh.
And you could propose, because he was going to propose to her before and then fly to the Bahamas after the proposal. But the jeweler couldn't make it, so he made up for it by saying, I literally just booked a flight right now to the Bahamas. I'm going to go give you the ring and then just fly right back.
Huh.
That is like, I get chills just thinking about it. Talk about making someone feel valued.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're on this podcast talking about what this jeweler did, just a one act. And I'm pretty sure we're not the only people talking about it. So it's a really valuable thing, like making people feel like they're somebody.
What parts of running a business were more difficult than you expected? And was there anything that was easier than you expected?
Right. I think a very hard thing was, you have a design in your head, but you can't project it perfectly to the manufacturer, for example.
I see.
That was a big thing for me when it came to anything from packaging to the actual product itself.
Yeah.
You would get, you'd have a concept, and either the supplier would say, hey, we either can't do it or we could do it, but it's going to have to look like this instead.
Right.
Really finding a medium between you and someone else
Mm-hmm.
was very difficult for me. And there was times where we would get, orders that would come in, and there were great designs, but they weren't as great as I thought that they would be.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just got to work with that, and you have to have a really, really great relationship with your suppliers to the point where you're almost like their best friend. Like they know, okay, Paul would want this, or Ben would want this or that. You really have to have a great relationship with your suppliers. And again, my experience in like the business world is kind of limited. I did it in high school, but that's one thing I really caught on, was that people think that when you design a product, that the design is going to be the exact same as like the output.
Mm-hmm.
And we can make it as close as we can, but it's all about working with a bunch of different people on how to make it as close to the original design as you could possibly make it. That was a very difficult part. A very easy part for me was, I guess this was just a matter of like happenstance, but we were in a time where like socks really reflected people's image in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So capturing that was a very adding symbolic value to the product was very easy for me, but it was only just because of that little niche that people had for these socks. So that was a pretty easy thing. Just finding like a niche, like everybody wants to be like unique in a way.
Yeah.
So putting symbolic value on a product like that was surprisingly pretty easy.
Socks are important, man. Socks are important.
Yeah.
I love socks.
Mm.
We can talk more about that
Right.
later too. Overall, what has been your most emotionally impactful experience since starting here at A&M?
I think the most emotional, impactful experience would probably be the last final I took freshman year.
Okay. Yeah,
Right.
You mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like you take that final, you put your name on the top, you bubble in the last question,
Right.
and you hand it in. And coincidentally, that was like my hardest class. It was like it was business calculus.
Okay.
So, I know people that were like, dude, that class was so easy. Like, it wasn't for me, but I turned it in and I looked the professor in his eye and I said, hey, thank you for like a great semester.
Yeah.
And I walked away, and with my backpack on, I looked outside and I just stood there, and I just thought, and then I stood there and I thought for a second, and then I started walking around the whole campus, like the entire campus, just thinking like, it's done. This whole year, like me studying in the business school when I wasn't a business student, just so I could get that vision in my head.
And make it your own.
Yeah, exactly. Like everything I've done, it's over. Like now I have to wait for the result.
Right.
So I just walked around as just thinking like my future in terms of like which major I am or which college I'm going to go into it's everything I could have done for it. It's done. We'll wait for the result. So that was very, very emotional for me. And honestly, it was almost something like in a movie.
Yeah.
It was so surreal and thinking like I'm in this situation. It was a stressful time, but it was also a beautiful time because I would not have wanted to get into the business school any other way or be in any. I would not honestly looking back at it. I'm so happy that I didn't get into business school and had to go a full year of visualization like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so happy that I didn't, and it's just a beautiful way the way things work out.
Yeah.
So that was a very emotional time for me when I just thought everything that I have done for almost a full 12 months.
Right.
Every single day, just thinking about that vision. It's all said and done.
Right.
We'll wait for the result. Huge, huge time for me. I've never had an experience like that ever again. But it was just a great time.
It's really empowering and really freeing, I think, when you've done the work, and now what you're really finding out is what am I really capable
Oh
of?
yeah.
Because you've already done everything
Mhm.
you can do, and so there's this kind of savage joy to like knowing, all right, I put it all on the line,
Yep.
and now the only thing left to find out is what was I given?
Oh yeah.
What was I
Yeah.
given? Because I've done everything I can to maximize my gifts.
hmm
And now it's just now the answer is in many ways out of my hands.
Yeah, exactly. And
Because I did my part.
exactly. And it just means so much. And I'm sure like we've all felt this to where you could totally lose. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's not guaranteed. But if you jump in, and the work is done, you feel such a relief. And
Yeah.
but if someone who never took that risk didn't do that, they would never feel that out of fear. And a lot of people talk about that a lot, like in motivational speeches and everything. Like a lot of people talk about like, chase the fear, do that, do this and that. But like doing it, like actually getting out there and doing it to
Yeah.
such a big scale. Because if I didn't get into business school, I would not know what I would be like. Do I leave A&M? Do I do this? Do I do that? What is my future going to be like? I had no idea, but I jumped in anyway. And to see the end result like that, it was something again like I thought was only reserved for movies themselves, but
Mhm.
it was really neat. So I was very happy about that.
Yeah. Yeah. There's even when you like, and it's very, the most freeing thing in the world is to feel that if you lose, it was just you didn't have what it took.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Mhm. Yeah. Exactly.
But so as I hear you tell these stories, it feels like your perspective is a very unique one.
Right.
How do you feel that your perspective is most unique
Mhm.
here at the business school and at the university? What is different about you?
Right. I think that a big difference is the fact that I know what it's like to be like an outsider from the business school.
Yeah.
I a lot of people when they get into the business school and they're very happy about that, and you should be happy. This is one of the best business schools in the entire country. Like you should be happy if you get right in. But what happens if you don't?
Mhm.
And you have to really like if the business school literally said like it's not your time right now.
Yeah.
But we hope it is. But if it's not, like we can't let you in. So I think having that perspective of being an outsider and just like what I said before, like seeing these business school students as a freshman, I would look at them and I would follow them like my eyes would follow them until they walked into that classroom. And I did that every single day when I was studying. And having that perspective, seeing my friends now, like every single friend I've ever made in the business school, I've thought like I have literally, even if you're the same age as me or younger than me or older than me, I've literally looked up to you because you're walking these halls, and now I'm in the same classroom as you, and I couldn't be happier. And then even beyond that, getting into PPA after being an outsider, being recruited by all these big firms that like see all this importance to you, like about you, and like literally like fighting for you.
Mhm.
It's just so great to have that experience, but also think I was never ever supposed to be here.
Mhm.
The admissions office should have said no. They definitely should have said no. I've never gotten a 3.5 GPA before. I was able to get that and get into this school, and now I have these amazing friends and this amazing opportunity. And it all started with me wishing that I was them. I wish that I was them. And so being here was, that's why I said, in the beginning of this show was, I am literally the most grateful business student at this school. Like I can guarantee you that. I think about it every single day. When I walk into the business school, I look at the big sign that says Mays Business School. I look at that until I get into the building. Every single day of my life, I'll come from lot 100 and I'll look where it says Mays Business School, and I will look at it until I pass it. Because I'm so proud to be here, and it puts such symbolic value into this school that it's possible that someone that just got straight in wouldn't really see.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and a quick example was, freshman year when I would walk into the business school to study, there'd be some times where like the sign that says like for student NSCs and stuff, they would have like, okay, Mays Business School is this way, and they'd have it like on a plastic sign. Sometimes that sign would like fall over, and I've never said this before. It's a small act, but like, it just shows like my appreciation for the business school. Like whenever a sign would be toppled over, I'd pick it up.
Huh.
I would pick it up and point it to like the business school. Like that's it. This is where it is. This sign doesn't even deserve to be, toppled over.
Yeah.
And I would, So it's just like that, like being an outsider and like being adopted by this school, if you want to call it that, was just beautiful to me. And that's why honestly, like I'm certain, like I'm the most grateful student here. Like it's unreal being here.
There is definitely power in that.
Right.
Your life has been a series of things, a series of turns where you've said, I want to be a part of that,
Mhm.
or I want to make this thing my own.
Right.
What is the next thing that you want to make your own?
Well, I think the next big thing is working for a great firm like Ernst & Young. I love the people there, and it reminds me a lot of the people that I met at Border Pallets,
Mhm.
but moving on up into like the like a big company like this. And so building those connections and seeing how they put so much value on me, because I'm like family with the senior manager there, Matt McCabe, and like the partner, Tracy Benedict. It's just so great knowing them on a personal level and them being willing to know me at that level. So I think the next big thing, making something my own and finding a home somewhere is definitely going to be at such a great firm like Ernst & Young. I can't wait to be a part of that family, and there's going to be a lot of experiences, a lot of learning, and I can't wait to learn from these great people. So they're definitely my new mentors and the new people that I look at and think I want to be where you are. So
Yeah.
that's a new vision for me, like going into Ernst & Young.
Well, we wish you nothing but the best with that.
Yeah.
What do you consider, rapid fire, what do you consider your most valuable failure?
Probably getting last place at a regional. It was my first regional race when I was just a little kid, but I got dead last. And my dad went up to me and he said, "Hey, you know what? It's fine. Like you need to bounce back." And from that moment on, I thought, okay, I'm never gonna permanently fail at anything in my life. And there's my mom took a picture of that exact moment, and I keep it like in my favorites, like on my phone. So I think getting last was a real eye opening thing for me. So.
Yeah. What do you think is people's biggest misconception of you?
Probably. I like to meet new people and like to get comfortable with people really quickly. So I'll engage in conversation. And some people see that as maybe kind of too out there.
Mhm.
Maybe a little. I mean, I don't know. Maybe a little loud sometimes.
Okay.
Because honestly, like if I just met you, we would still be having this conversation. We'd have this conversation if we were just hanging out somewhere and we coincidentally sat together, like at an airport or something.
Yeah.
I would definitely still engage in a conversation like this. So some people appreciate that, but some people have been like, okay, like you're a little, like I don't really know you that well.
Right.
So that's a little misconception that like me having a conversation, like a very comfortable conversation with someone is kind of like, not cocky, but just something like
Forward.
that, I guess. Forward.
Yeah.
Definitely.
No, I know the feeling. My wife is the person who says, let's wait until we
Right.
know this person a little better.
Yeah.
I'm probably more like you
Mhm.
in that I want to engage on a very deep level right
Right.
away. And some people are not comfortable with that.
Mhm.
And so I have to individualize a little bit in that way.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you could have anyone as a mentor for one day, who would it be?
Oh, honestly, now that I think about it, it'll probably be David Goggins, which is what we talked about before the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he is the definition of a man who came from nothing. He was 300 pounds, wanted to be a Navy SEAL, so he lost all that weight and then went beyond that and is now like an ultra marathon runner and does this and that and has done things that you would literally think are impossible to do.
Mm-hmm.
And he's done these things, and he's like, when I started getting into more long distance runs, like 11, 13-mile runs, and wanted to get into like marathons and everything like that, which I'm hoping to do in the spring. He has been like a very big motivation for me because he thought, I'm not gifted, I'm not any of that. Anybody could do something like this. You just have to put your mind to it. So from a physical and mental standpoint, like he is someone that I would love to be with for a day. It would probably be a very painful day. I'm for sure we'll probably be running a lot, but I would love to have him as a mentor for a day.
What is the most important advice you would give to yourself exactly 5 years ago?
I'd probably say to set your sights very, very high,
Mm-hmm.
very high. And the reason for that is because if you set your sights, you have like a certain goal and you set your sights like 10 times beyond that, chances are you're going to surpass like what the minimum goal was.
Yeah.
So I would really think that, and because, 5 years ago, I was probably, thinking, just got to get a good grade in this math class. I didn't think, okay, like I want to get into PPA. I want to get recruited by, these firms. I want to be here in this room with you talking about this whole story.
Yeah.
I would never even think that, so I think shooting very, very high like that would be like a prime strategy that anyone coming into college, or the younger you are, the more valuable it is.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to tell myself that.
No question. If you could have a billboard anywhere with anything on it, what would it say and why?
It would kind of probably bounce off the whole like make me important sign. It would say, there's this book that I was reading by this man named John Maxwell, who said, he's a very, very great author. He said,
yeah, he's very prolific.
Right. You know about him?
Yeah.
A great author. Yeah. But he said that, everybody is my superior in some way.
Yeah.
Everybody is my superior in some way.
That's true.
And, everybody can teach you something that you don't yet know.
Yeah.
And, the reason why I think that would be very important is because I kind of lost that. Somewhere along the way in college, I got very, as embarrassing as it is, I got very single-minded. There was a time where like I thought, this point of view is right, and that point of view is like literally wrong. And it's just such a bad way to think about things. And it was only until, my girlfriend at the time and my roommates, really had like a very deep conversation with me and they talked to me about that. And, it's really changed my mindset. Like there is no like really for a lot of things, there's no right or wrong. It's just both sides have a different perspective, but you should at least respect the other side because usually everybody wants to do the right thing.
Yeah. So
I think really, really valuing that and seeing that like on a billboard like that is great to know and think like not everybody's wrong. Everybody is you value everybody. Like everybody is your superior in some way, like exactly what the billboard would say. And I think that's a very good perception to have about people.
Almost everybody in the world thinks that they're wearing the white hat.
Yeah. No, it's a bad thing to have. So the more open-minded you are, the better you should be.
Right. We close each session with good bull.
Right.
Anyone you would like to send some good bull?
Yeah, I'll probably my roommate Braden Harrison. He's I've been friends with him since freshman year. He lived across the hall from me. But yeah, Braden has been, probably one of the most valuable friends that I've had, throughout college. He's the one that, he's not saying that, like, oh, I know better, so I'm going to tell you. But he's just very, very real with you. And he's the definition, like the whole integrity part of this university, he is the prime example of that.
Yeah.
If he tells you he'll do something, he does it. And he looks out for you no matter what. It's a little tough love, like he's not a very deep person, but man, he definitely looks out for you because he cares about you.
Yeah.
And, I've always respected that. And that's always why like I value like our friendship. So yeah, definitely say it's the good bull goes to him.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to send good bull to Sharice King.
All right.
I haven't talked to her in a little while.
Yeah, definitely.
She's doing well. Hope you're doing well, Sharice.
Oh yeah. Shout out to Sharice.
All right. Paul, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me on. It was a great experience and, happy to be with the infamous host, Ben Wiggins, right now.
Sure. Well, we appreciate you listening and we appreciate all our listeners. And again, thank you for taking the time to join us.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. We appreciate your support. Drop us a like below and feel free to leave a comment if you wish. We appreciate positivity and constructive feedback. Don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date on our latest episodes and bonus content. You can also take us on the road using your favorite podcast listening app. We have those linked below. If you'd like to know more about Mays Business School or our guests, visit mays.tamu.edu/podcasts. Talk with you soon.